a lot of people want to be in this business because they're just helpers. They're just helper type people. Hey, I mean, I wanted to help people. And there's millions of people like that who want to help others. And there's millions of people more who want and need help because they don't want to just take drugs. They don't want to end up getting surgery after 10 years of just managing symptoms or something worse come along. So there's more educated people today, and they're coming out of the woodwork. You know, we don't have enough practitioners to serve them. You know, I'm training as many people as I can, but still there's a shortage of really good health coaches that know how to look for underlying causes and conditions and then give the people things to do to fix it themselves. You know, we're all about the at-home, self-directed wellness, holistic programming. We can design it based on the lab work, but still someone needs to help that person do it. Mm-hmm. So that's where health coaches come in.
Welcome to another episode of the Health Coach Academy podcast. I'm your host, Omar Cumberbatch of OmarCumberbatch.com. Today we have a repeat customer. You know how rare that is, but when you're Reed Davis, you can come on my show anytime. So this is the man, the myth, the legend, Reed Davis, the founder of FDN, and really just excited to share some updated moments. We haven't spoke to Reed in about 2 years. It was right before all the stuff hit the fan with the pandemic, and even back then he was just dropping gems on us and just a really icon in the health coaching space. I thank him for being on the show because it really shows what a person's legacy can be in the health coaching space. Just someone who can touch so many lives in so many different ways and make a living off helping people is really inspirational for me, and I'm sure you as well. So I'm really excited to reshare Reed with the audience. As always, please leave a rating and review on iTunes. It goes a long way to consistently give me the ability to get guys and gals like Reed Davis on the show and really just to share with the health coach community. As a little bit of other housekeeping too, I'm about to launch that podcast course, so I'm really excited to have that on my website available to share in a week or two. I'm just finishing up some of these videos and putting it on the platform so that I can get that out to you guys. And so if you're a health coach who's interested in using podcasts as a mechanism for business and branding and such, please take a look at that. See if you're interested in, of course, if you have anybody you can share that with as well. That will be super awesome. And I'm really proud of this course, so I'm very excited to share with everybody. So let's jump into the show with Reed Davis. Hey, Reed, welcome to the show. How are you today?
Omar, thank you, man. It's great to be here, and I'm doing fantastic. How about you?
Fantastic. And again, you're one of the only people who've made multiple appearances on my show for very good reason, because you are the man. And if health coaches don't know who Reed Davis is, they're not really health coaches. How about that?
Shucks. Well, I'm glad that I could be helpful, and always a pleasure to sit and talk health with people. So let's do it.
Yeah. So listen, if they don't, and I'm just teasing those health coaches who might not know you, because we've all went to different programs, including myself. I went to IIN, and we mentioned off air, a bunch of my buddies went to FDN. So tell us about what FDN is, and really just kind of catch up for where we spoke last. Well, it's been 2 years now. Like how you been doing and what's been cooking?
Well, lots been cooking. We started in 2008 training mostly the non-licensed crowd. That's just kind of the only way to put it, because I'm not a licensed practitioner. I wasn't a doctor, but 23 years ago, I started running labs and looking at them differently. Mm-hmm. I wasn't using them like a doctor does. They want to diagnose and treat. So I learned to get the test results directly from the lab before the doctor does his diagnosis and then the treatment protocols and stuff. So we're getting the raw data, and we can analyze it and assess it the way we want. What does it tell us about the person? To heck with the diagnosis, like that's a label that a doctor has to put on it to bill the insurance company and to find something to treat. We want to actually collect, Omar, it's collecting a whole constellation of data, everything we can find out about a person. And I can go on and on into details for you, but we want to find out a lot more than just, oh, here's your diagnosis, here's your pills, or here's your treatment plan, for that. No, we want as much information as we can about a person. Then we can give them a whole holistic lifestyle program to follow, everything that's going to affect those test results. So in other words, the test results aren't the problem. They're the result of the problem. Whereas, once the doctor gets a hold of some lab reports, he's looking for one thing he can treat that, that's a CPT code and ICD-9 or ICD-10 codes, and he's trying to code it and build the insurance company. We just don't even think about things that way. So again, we're getting the data raw from the lab, and I learned from the lab guys, there's a lot more data there than what the doctor's using. Mm-hmm. And not only that, but we are running labs that doctors don't even use because they can't find a DX code in it, like a food sensitivity test. If you look at my arm right here, I know we're just on audio right now, but I just got my arm poked. I had a phlebotomist come out and draw blood for a food sensitivity test that I want to run on myself. Mm-hmm. And it's not my first time. I run it every year, every 2 years. For the last 20 years. Why? Because these things change. You have to keep adapting and watching how your body adapts. So I'm going on and on here, but the bottom line is FDN is about running lab work, finding out what's really wrong with you, and then using that data to create a unique protocol for a person, a unique lifestyle program.
Yeah, and in my experience, FDN was always one of the only places that you can get a health coach certification that had any kind of that type of data. One of the things that I felt handicapped as a health coach was just kind of going through protocols, just for instance, like you said, food sensitivity, where we would just utilize an elimination diet, for instance, and then kind of like reintroduce stuff where you're getting the information pretty much immediately, where I'm waiting 21 days and better just to reintroduce food to take a guess and see if that was what was cooking. Yeah. And it's a different type of experience to say the least when it comes with certified labs and such.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of good labs out there, and there's some training programs that might teach you something about that. Most of that training is coming more from the lab than from clinicians who've used it for all the years that I did. So everything I teach is experiential. One of the first labs I ever ran was on a woman who came in the office. She was getting chiropractic care in her office, and so I could tell she was depressed. I'd seen her maybe 10 or 12 times already. I'm like, hey, what's wrong? And she goes, oh, it's this damn 40 pounds. I'm overweight 40 pounds. And it's just really frustrating. And I said, well, what are we going to do about it? We could help you with that. And she, oh, there's nothing we could do about it. There's nothing we can do. I'm on this medication and I've been on it for 2 years and it makes me fat. I've gained 40 pounds in 2 years and it's 100% this medication I'm on for the hives. She's got big red patches on her skin all the time, pretty much, if she didn't take the medication. And she's, before I could say anything, she goes on and says, and Reed, I was at the doctor the other day, and I told him I'm really sick of this extra weight, and it's just driving me crazy. And he said, lady, this is what she said, lady, you can be fat or you can have the hives, take your pick. And, I could tell now why she's feeling so down. And she said, well, that's depressing. And he said, her physician said, well, I can write you a prescription for antidepressants if you want. You're laughing. And I was laughing inside, but I was standing right there and I'm going, well, why didn't you find out why you get the hives? Right. And man, her head snapped around so hard. Omar, I thought she wasn't going to need her chiropractic treatment that day. Her head just went like this. What? What do you mean find out why I get? For 2 years, she hadn't even thought about it. Was never recommended to her. Why don't we find out why you get the hives? Was it a food? Was it a chemical? Was it something you're exposed to somewhere in your environment? And I just said, well, yeah, we can run a test and see. And Matter of fact, that test, which this is well over 20 years ago, is the same one I took again today on myself. But I have go-to labs that I've been using for all these years. That one gave us some things for her to avoid. And within 9 days of her beginning that avoidance, she was off her medication. Amazing. And she was telling her physician, hey, doc, sorry, I'm not taking this medication anymore. I found out why I get the hives. And so I don't need the medication. And oh, by the way, I'm doing two things I haven't done in 2 years. Take hot showers and work out to a sweat, because even on the medication, hot showers and sweating gave her the hives, so what a miserable existence, all that extra weight, frustration, being offered more drugs by her physician. And all we had to do was run a simple test. One I've been using, it's go-to test for over 20 years. And it's still not listed as a insurance paid test. So that's where this, where I just started this whole sort of speech, is because not only are we not looking at the lab work the same way, we're looking at lab work they don't even look at because it's not covered by insurance. So obviously they're not going to recommend it to a patient. So it's just a whole different ballgame. We're not diagnosing or treating anything. That's why health coaches, any health coach, any person can run these labs that I train on, and then work on yourself or work on your clients.
Yeah, no, that's a powerful statement, because unfortunately, I think that's how most of us are trained in this medical model. I mean, it's really just you're chasing these symptoms around. You're not getting to the root of any of the problems. And it's really just even her reaction to not even thinking to say why it can't, what's going on here? Like, but again, my father's classic example, he just goes to the doctor to get a pill and leave. That's it. Mm-hmm. Whatever that is. And then if he needs another one to offset something, that's how a lot of us have grown up. So how does FDN itself just prepare not only, the clinicians, if for lack of a better term, the health coaches, to combat that idea and that model, and as well as educate the clients that they have to not really accept this kind of treatment option that they've been getting for basically their entire lives?
Yeah, well, even back then, that's a really good question. Even back then, the people coming in our clinic were seeking something alternative. So, because we ran a wellness center, we weren't a medical office. We had chiropractic, acupuncture, nutrition. And once I started latching onto this lab work, man, I ran thousands and I just became the nutritionist who ran labs. There was no name for it, just a nutrition guy. We didn't use the word health coach, but a nutritionist working in a wellness center who ran labs. And it took me 10 years to develop FDN. I had to recognize all the patterns and all the solutions, and I had to make some mistakes. Not everyone had the success of that lady, but enough people did. Man, I got story after story I'd be willing to share, but I started recognizing that if we checked for upstream or underlying causes or conditions instead of just the immediate symptom, or what might be causing that, or then gave the person things to do to go home and do, that would be a lot better than sending them home with some pills. Mm-hmm. So for instance, and the way I like to put this is that people, other practitioners, and that classic training you're talking about, I call it the sounds like method. So they say, well, I run labs too. Yeah, but you use the sounds like method. Sounds like thyroid. Sounds like a parasite. Sounds like irritable bowel. So they'll run one test to kind of confirm their diagnosis, their clinical diagnosis, and then pat themselves on the back when they get good at finding a marker that they can work on. So thyroid is a really classic one. You could go into a physician and say, I'm tired, fatigued, I'm a little overweight, can't seem to lose it, my hair's thinning, I'm constipated. That's a big one. I feel sad sometimes, and sounds like thyroid. Now it could be a ton of different things, and it usually is. but in the medical diagnosis treatment world, it sounds like thyroid. So they run a test on the thyroid and go, yep. I always say, hey, don't hurt your wrist patting yourself on the back there.
Yeah.
Because you just diagnosed that person, and you got them thinking that you've given them the answer. Oh, it's your thyroid. And so here's your thyroid medication. Come back in 3 months or whatever, and we'll adjust the dosage to get the numbers right on the paper.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, that's treating the paper. Like I'm not the paper. So every time they go to see the physician after that for a while, they're going to be looking at the numbers, and maybe the original complaints you went in for aren't even part of the discussion anymore. It's just, well, your numbers are looking good. Your numbers are looking good. And people don't want that. So the answer to your question
Mm-hmm.
is that even back then, we had people seeking alternatives. They were caught in a cycle of trial and error where they were just been to the doctor. And a lot of times, by the way, what might a physician say? Oh, there's nothing wrong with you. Your blood work looks normal. You've heard that, right?
Oh,
Or
yeah.
you know someone who was told, oh, your blood work looks normal, but they know that something's wrong, but it's just not showing up in that particular blood work. And so or they get that, sounds like thyroid. Yep, it's thyroid. Yep, here's your medication, and I'll see you in a while. We'll treat the paper. Hope you feel better. Whereas we don't look at things like that at all. So the same people that were looking for alternative treatment, then there's millions and millions more. And a lot of it is that, some of the pioneers that I worked with, me, I guess, we've laid some of the groundwork out. And there's a lot of people want to be in this business because they're just helpers. They're just helper type people. Hey, I mean, I wanted to help people. And there's millions of people like that who want to help others. And there's millions of people more who want and need help because they don't want to just take drugs. They don't want to end up getting surgery after 10 years of just managing symptoms or something worse come along. So there's more educated people today, and they're coming out of the woodwork. We don't have enough practitioners to serve them. I'm training as many people as I can, but still there's a shortage of really good health coaches that know how to look for underlying causes and conditions and then give the people things to do to fix it themselves. We're all about the at-home, self-directed wellness, holistic programming. We can design it based on the lab work, but still someone needs to help that person do it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where health coaches come in. A physician would say, here, if you get this prescription filled, come back in 3 months. We say, well, let us run some lab work, identify multiple. We're not going to guess and just say, it sounds like this. We don't know what it is. So we're going to run multiple labs, look at multiple healing opportunities. And when you work on them all, whatever that was wrong with you is in the mix. Guaranteed it's in the mix. And I can tell you the patterns I recognize and where we look for and things. But when you take this holistic approach, it's about what's that person going to do at home in terms of not just take these pills, come back in 3 months. It's, well, they have to eat right, and they have to go to bed on time, and they have to get a good night's sleep, get rest. They have to exercise. They have to reduce stress in multiple ways. And they do have to take supplements. That, by the way, is my DRESS, diet, rest, exercise, stress reduction supplements. That's dress for health success. And all my trainees and grads know it through and through. It's like, look, we don't want to pick out one thing. We want the whole body, every cell, tissue, organ, and system to improve function. And whatever they had goes away. For the most part, that's true. And so that's why the health coach is so important, because the person doesn't want to just come back in 3 months. They want to talk next week and the week after that. And the week after, they want to get nurtured and supported as they go through this growing and developing and changing their lifestyle and developing new habits and setting goals and things that a health coach can help them do. Mm-hmm. So I'll just finish that with saying that I learned that because in the office, I had people coming in regularly, and I go, well, Mrs. Smith, you're coming in, 3 times a week for your chiropractic and acupuncture and stuff. But what are you doing at home between visits?
Mm-hmm.
And that became my focus was, well, because, I don't do chiropractic or acupuncture. I was consulting with them about their diet and different things. But I would say, you know what, coming in's fine, get your adjustment, whatever, but it's what you do at home that's going to make the biggest difference. So that's where I started developing that. It's their diet, it's rest, it's exercise, it's reducing stress, and then supplementation. And it started outperforming everything. Like, wow, our patients actually get well. What a concept. What a concept, and they're like blown away because they've been to 6 or 8 or even 10 different practitioners and never even heard of this FDN, once I coined it, that phrase and everything. So it's really quite remarkable.
No, it really is. And there's a lot that you just said that I could unpack. But one of the things that stood out is really just people starting to be advocates for their own health. And I think, you put the example of someone just going to the doctor and the doctor like treating the piece of paper or at terrible times, which I can go into details of other stories, but just sending them home when you know that there's something wrong. So people really need to just step up and just say, when they know there's something wrong, there's something wrong. And if you can't get the help from a doctor, seek some alternate advice from somewhere, and even like health coaches or basically at any point. You just have to be consistent and step up and talk about what you need. And because deep down inside, if there's something wrong.
Man, you're so right. And that, like I keep trying to say that kind of over 20 years ago, people then were searching for alternatives. Imagine what it's like now after the medical establishment has lost so much trust. People don't trust them anymore. First of all, they literally are the third. Medical mistakes are the third leading cause of death in the United States.
Yep.
Third leading. So that's 250,000. Some estimates are at almost 500,000 people a year die from medical mistakes. Well, that's a kind of a bad reputation to have. So now more people than ever are looking for those alternatives. And then you got this thing that just happened, the COVID thing. That just really, like, doctors have completely lost the trust of their patients.
Yeah.
Because they're the way things went. Like I think it was bad for the profession, whereas it's didn't affect our profession at all. If anything, it boosted our profession, the health coaching world. And the reason is, first of all, most of us work out of our homes, so there was no sending us home. When they started sending people home, we said, hey, we're already at home. We work from home. And now there's more people at home, and so now they have time to work on themselves. They started realizing how important, resistance to disease is, and reducing the risk of catching some of the bad things that have been going around. And so it's just never been better for health coaches.
Yeah, that was actually one of my questions. I was like, obviously we literally spoke, I think, a month before it hit the fan.
Oh, man.
Yeah, it was like 2020 in February. And I was just thinking like, wow, how much has your business changed? So that is one of the key things. It's increased. Have you navigated or shifted in any way as far as curriculum was concerned to address some of the crazy that's going on, or what?
Well, the basics are the same, and I'll tell you why. Because anything that'll come along that's viral or parasite, bacteria, fungal, and those kinds of things, we already had a place for that. Nobody was ready for the pandemic. No, it was just like, wow, nobody was ready. I thought there's people smarter than me out there figuring that stuff out, I guess there wasn't. We, in our investigation, when I say we look for a whole constellation of healing opportunities, that means we're going to look at hormones, immune system, digestion, detoxification systems. and two more, energy production and the nervous system balance. So that spells hidden, HIDDEN, hormone, immune, digestion, detoxification, energy production, nervous system. Mm-hmm. So when you investigate that much of a person, that many healing opportunities, and they just come bubble right up to the surface when you run the right labs. You see, oh, this is out of balance. Oh, that needs improvement. Oh, you're got toxicity building up in the liver, or whatever the healing opportunity is. These are not medical diagnoses, just things that a person can do to improve function. So HIDDEN, we search there for the healing opportunities, and then our recommendations are then customized: the diet, the rest, the exercise, the stress reduction, maybe especially that one. And the supplementation can also be very targeted then, and all in a self-directed way, so that we're not, again, taking this for that. We're not treating anything specifically, but that program, the DRESS program, treats everything, every cell, tissue, organ, and system, non-specifically. And that's a legitimate term to say, like, when you do this, things improve. Mm-hmm. And so that's the investigation, HIDDEN, and then the DRESS program. That has not changed since I started teaching. But the things we're looking for, in the environment are different. This viral thing that's I've got everybody's pants in a knot. It can be pretty serious, and yet it's just one more thing that the body is supposed to be able to handle. If they wouldn't do gain of function experiments and things like that to make it worse, that's a crime against humanity, in my opinion. Gain of function research on viruses, how can we make them so that they can kill a whole bunch of people? What kind of people work on that? Not to go off into politics, but what kind of people came up with this idea of, let's take viruses which already suck and make them so bad that we could kill millions of people if we wanted to with them. Now that's an evil thing, so we won't go there, but we could say that what we can do as humans is prepare the best you can, build up your own immune system. I happen to have the antibodies now. I already had a really good immune system. I thought I wasn't ever going to get COVID. I thought I'm not going to get it. I'm way too healthy for that. Mm-hmm. But sure enough, on a New Year's Eve last year, I went out and I tore up the town a little bit too much, and in 2 days I was down with the big C word, and I got tested. Oh, dude, yeah. So, but now I have the natural antibodies. Mm-hmm. So this past weekend, my son lives in Las Vegas, and he's got 2 boats on Lake Mead. He's a boating guy. So we go out and we do wake surfing and wakeboarding and stuff like that. We went out on the lake, and he just called an hour ago. He talked to my wife, not me. And he says, oh, because I was busy, but he says, oh, tell Dad that there was someone on the boat that turns out they had COVID. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I'm really not even worried about it. It's already in my wheelhouse to keep myself really resistant. And that's what we could do as good health coaches and as good health followers, health seekers, is just really work on these things. And it requires knowing what to do, what labs can you run to see where your weaknesses are, and then what regimens do you need to follow to maintain that high level of resistance.
So do you see, coming out of this era, right, of the last 2 years, like I said, since we spoke and what's transpired, do you see like a pop-up market for health coaches to take advantage of the fear of the C word specifically, or just any other kinds of emerging markets for just coming out of this weird time? Like, I'm curious to see if any of your students embarked on that and started taking advantage of that.
Well, you have to be careful here, because ethics are important, and you wouldn't want to take advantage of a pandemic per se, but if your mission is to help people, like my mission is to help people, if you can say that, and then you can also say, I'm willing to walk the talk. Mm-hmm. And if you're a pretty decent, nice person, then you could take our course. We don't have a lot of prerequisites. Most of them have a college degree, but we don't require it. Most of them have a certificate or two in something else. Like a lot of IIN people take FDN and they think it's the icing on the cake.
Yeah.
And so, but no, if you just want to help people, then there's endless opportunity. There's endless opportunity. And, things like the vid increase those opportunities. And so if you want to look at it that way, then yeah, it's been good for business.
Yeah. No, I can't imagine it not, just people being more aware of what they, of their health, just health as much as.
Yeah, they're a lot aware. Nobody likes sitting at home with a snotty nose, no matter what it's caused by, and right. So if they're willing to do the work, then we can help them. If they are open to learning and to forming a few new good habits, maybe dropping a couple. Smoking's bad for you. Do I have to tell anyone that anymore? I mean, like there's certain things that you just know you'd be better off without. And then there's a lot of things you can replace that with that are very, very beneficial. So that's why health coaches are doing so well out there. And oh, by the way, I know you teach some really good stuff on how to be a health entrepreneur. And I'm all for it. I've been a health entrepreneur from the day I started in the clinic in 1999. So I've been a health entrepreneur a long time. But if you want to work for someone else, because you're not so inclined to do the podcasting and blogging and all the things you got to do, there's plenty of opportunity in someone else's office where you're providing an amazing service adjunctive to the other things they're doing in that office. So you could be the health coach. You go in there and you could be the person. You're actually going to triage. You're kind of going to be the head person. Mm-hmm. The chiropractor, well, they're going to adjust you. And the acupuncturist, they're going to stick pins. And, someone else in the office, even if say it's a functional medicine, they're going to run some blood testing and maybe they'll recommend some things to you too. But I'm the guy. I'm the one who's kind of running the place because I know everything that's going on with you. I know your life story. I know all the past traumas and trials and tribulations, and I know what's hanging you up. I also know what motivates you. I know where you have discipline and where you lack discipline. So the health coach can be running the place while the other practitioners are doing their modality. If it's massage, fantastic. If it's whatever it is. So health coaches are in an amazing position, and you don't have to. You can just have a job doing that. Have a lot of fun, a very rewarding job doing that, and make good money. I would venture to say a lot more than you're making now if you're not already doing great.
No, absolutely. And I'm glad that you brought that up because that's one of the reasons that I have the shows to inspire health coaches to continuously move forward and have some belief that there are opportunities. Because one of the things, and I'm sure you've heard some of your students, may have complained about is just this concept of saturation in the market and there's too many health coaches and all this kind of stuff. I don't believe that. I doubt you believe that either because there's just too many people that are out there who need help. But can you speak on that a drop just to give some health coaches some motivation to go out there and, like you said, do what they really love to do?
Well, yeah, of course. I teach in my course, not plugging the course, but I'm just using it as a reference point that I teach them all the anatomy, physiology, biochemistry behind the labs, and I make it easy to understand. It's complex stuff, but it doesn't have to be complicated. Mm-hmm. And then there's also the protocols, the diet, the rest, the exercise. There's a lot in the course about the content, the running the labs, all the science, the protocols, all the science and habits and things like that. But I have a business section there, and I teach you how to onboard. So my answer to your question, can I say something encouraging? And my onboarding, it's dead on. It's practice. I did it 1,000 times in the office. I worked out the script so that you can find out. There's two things that you need to know. You need to interview that person. not let them pick your brain. Don't let them interview you. Interview them to find out, well, can I even help you?
Mm-hmm.
You know, people come to me, they want to pour their hearts out in their life story, and 1942 this and my dad that. I need to ask you a few questions to see if I can accept you as a client.
Mm-hmm.
And here, there's only 8 questions.
Mm.
And so you go through the 8 questions and you find out, A, can I help this person? Why would you take on a client that you weren't pretty, sure you're going to be able to help? And that includes obstacles to healing. Most of them are pretty easy, but if they're in the mind and emotions of that person, it might be you don't want them for a client. So A, can I help you? I want to find out first, Mrs. Smith, A, can I help you? And B, do I want to? I probably wouldn't put it to her that way. But I'd say, can we do business together? I'm a professional, I'm fee for services. So, let me ask you a few questions to see if I can actually help you. And let's hope that I can, and so I go through my 8 questions, and it qualifies that person where you don't even give them a price. You don't even offer them your services if you're not getting square answers to these things. And then I would give my price of, there's 2 fees involved. There's my fees, professional fees, and then there's the lab fees, which I can't help. I have no control over those. They are what they are, and they're not that much. So now I've already addressed some concerns about money and support and fears and time commitments and all in my discovery of whether I can help them or not. They have no money and no time. I'm not going to be able to help them.
Right.
So you got to clarify these things before you give your price and make your offer. And if you do it in the right order, in the right way, their obvious answer is, let me get my credit card, and pay you, because, that's how it's supposed to work. Or they might say, I can't do it now, but give me a week. I'm going to have a house sale. I'm going to send one of my kids to an orphanage, so they'll have the money, whatever it is. They'll come up with a way. They'll get really creative when they want what you have. Yeah. They get very creative. I had a guy once, he says, damn, I just bought a TV. I'm taking it back to Best Buy, man. I'm gonna get you instead of this new TV. Yeah, that's right. Now you, because you've built up to where they realize how important their health is. So there's a way you walk through all these things. And then you would say there's my fees and there's the lab fees, which I have no control over. I'm not the lab. You're going to pay the lab. That's not me. But my fees are, this is where the big X amount comes in for a 90-day program. I teach how to work for a 90-day sort of a trial period. Which case most people are done at 90 days because everything we do works so damn well. But or at 90 days we can upgrade and different things like that. But that X amount is up to the practitioner, and nobody has control over your prices except you. Right. You're the one who controls your price. No one has any right whatsoever to judge your price or you. And so who is in control of that? You are. You make up your price. You have to live a certain lifestyle. You want to eat good organic food. You want to have a gym membership and a personal trainer. You want to have supplements, a nice supply of those, and they cost money. And and you don't want to work, 70, 80 hours a week. You might at first, but not for very long. And so, you want your time freedom to work when you want. And you want your health freedom. You want to be working on yourself at the same time. You want geographical freedom, and you can do this from anywhere there's a laptop and internet connection.
Right.
And then you want, of course, the emotional freedom of following your passion and doing something that's important to you, that you feel like you have a purpose in your life, something to get up for in the morning besides the almighty dollar. And then last but not least, financial freedom. Having all your bills paid and money in the bank is a godsend, and then you can really do some good work. You want to work cheap once you got that established, go ahead, but in the meantime, and in the beginning, you need to establish good, solid pricing. Now, I'm not throwing out what X amount is because it might intimidate some people. Other people might think it's too cheap. But when you graduate from my program, you're only going to need 3 customers to pay back your investment for that thing. And that numbers 4 and 5 is money in your pocket. I mean, obviously you spread things out and things like that, but you get the point. You're going to be able to make a good living doing what you love, working the hours that you set, the prices you set, from anywhere you want to be at the time. My wife goes down to Cabo a lot, more than me. But when I go down there with her, we're both working. She's working from the bedroom in the condo. I'm working from the dining room table. Nobody knows anything. We're just having a really good time living our lives, and I've earned it, and anyone can do it.
Right. What does she do, by the way?
She's a health coach.
Oh, get out.
Yeah, and she was when I met her. I met her in Austin, Texas, 3 years ago at a conference. And I was attracted to her. We were in a breakout session together. That's a whole different story, my man. But it worked out really good. She took the FDN course too. That was a marriage of requirement. You got to take my course. I'm just kidding.
Oh, that's a great story. We'll have to have that conversation off the air, I guess.
Or just when the audience is right. I don't know what people want to hear, but
I'm just teasing you.
You get to be a real person, and if your mission is clear, and again, if it's to help people. And yourself, you're going to help people, and you're going to walk the talk. Those are my only 2 prerequisites. My third one, if I had one, is don't be a jerk. Don't be negative. If you're a person that sees the world as a cup is half empty, that's going to be a problem for you.
Right.
And I don't want it to become my problem. So I have turned people away if they are too much of a negative Nelly, so to speak. And you don't want customers like that either. So I teach all that. Everything I teach is practical. Practical. It's stuff you can use. Wow, I can use that. I can use that because it's real. It's been done. I didn't learn it in school. I learned it in the school of hard knocks.
Right. So I got 2 more questions for you, and I'll cut you loose. And I think the first question is, what do you think is the main factor that's holding health coaches back from being successful?
Well, I would have to say their point of view. Just part of it's the money mindset, not charging enough. And what you should do, regardless of what your price is, 2 things you could do. One is tell somebody no. Just tell something, no, I don't think I can help you. Because you're usually, if you're not making it, then you're ready to help anyone, anywhere, anytime. Oh God, please, pick me. No, you got to start picking them, the ones you want to work with. A, you can help them. B, you want to through and learn that methodology. So tell a few people no, I don't think I'm not the guy for you. But also the very next person, just dig down deep and double your price. Whatever it is, just say I'm X amount, double whatever you were charging. And you know what? That person's not going to bat an eye. They're going to get their credit card out and write you a check or whatever it is. They're going to go, okay. Or if they have to think about it, I'll teach you the techniques on that later. But if you just double your price, it's mostly a money mindset. There's also fear of knowing enough and credentialing and things like that. And we address that in the course. And guess what? I got thousands of graduates and several hundred, I think it's over 600 now, members of our professional alumni group. So it's good to know that you're not alone, that there is a lot of support. So all my graduates nowadays, a lot of the old ones, I don't know what happened to some of them, but hopefully not hurting anybody out there. but they're not, I'm kidding. But no, now for the last couple of years, we've been really recruiting for our alumni group to stick together as a group, to we get discounts as a group, we get continuing education as a group, and it's staffed. I have 35 people working for me, so I got my alumni group down and it's solid. And just to answer your question about how can they be more successful, Your next time you get to quote someone, double your price, whatever it was. If it was $3,000, make it $6,000.
Mm-hmm.
And if it was $300, make it $600. But, understand that you're not getting what you're worth. I don't know how, we sell packages, never work by the hour, always work by the package, and keep increasing your package prices until you have the quality of customer that can afford that and that can support you so that you can walk the talk. That's the deal. If you're working out of the back of your car, or if you're living in a van down by the river, that's not, you got to get out of that. There's only one way. And it's to take full responsibility, double your prices, tell a couple people no, don't go around begging for business, and see where that takes you, because your mindset will start to change on its own. Pretty soon you'll realize what you're worth.
Yeah, absolutely. Amen to that. So I guess my final question is, do you think about your legacy, and what do you think about it?
Yeah, I just, if FDN goes on beyond me, then that's good. And that would be my legacy. I hope I leave a lot of, people, myself, I'm in there in the mix there somewhere in the thought process, or, just like my heroes, Weston Price and Royal Lee and Francis Pottinger and all these guys who I admire. Some of them aren't dead yet, so I can't say their names. But, there's people I admire who I'm part of their legacy.
Yeah.
And so people will be part of my legacy just because I worked and trained and trained, taught. And, the company, as we look at these things, it still needs me, but it's needing me less and less. I'm still kind of the chief cook and bottle washer, but they're doing great. My staff is freaking amazing. They're going to carry it on. If something was to happen to me, I ride a motorcycle at least 3-4 times a week, and you just never know, man. I've been doing it my whole life, but just stuff. And so, yeah, they'll carry on. They will carry on.
Yeah, no, well, listen, we're not wishing any of that on you, but this is something that I think we all reflect on, and there's no better person to ask about that than yourself. I think you've absolutely impacted me in many ways over there. Even though I didn't go to FDN, I was a big fan of yours and the work that you do through my friends. So the legacy that you have is carrying on in ways that you wouldn't even have imagined, I'm sure. But we're gonna wish you.
Thank you for that. I'm still working on it.
You're doing it.
The days are numbered, but they're not done.
That's for everybody.
For all of us.
That's for all of us, buddy. So yeah, listen, Reed. Thanks for coming back on, and I would love to have you back in the future. You always impart such great wisdom, just to all the health coaches out there. So I just want to give you an opportunity to just let the audience know how to keep in touch with you going forward. Anyone who is interested in the FDN program.
Okay.
And all that.
Well, you can put this in the show notes for them too, but it's fdntraining.com, fdntraining.com/Omar. Right. And what you'll see there is an opportunity to learn more. You could let us know if you're interested in just your own health, or if you're interested in helping others. Just click on one of the two buttons. You're going to get a free ebook that kind of explains that dress program that I told you about. And so there's a free gift there for you. Go to fdntraining.com/Omar, and we'll be in touch. And Omar, it's been great. Thank you very much. And thanks for the audience for listening.
Oh, appreciate you as always, Reed. Have a great rest of the day. Hope you enjoyed listening to today's episode of the Health Coach Academy podcast. If you did, jump over to iTunes and leave a rating and or review. It goes a long way in helping get this message out to our fellow health coaches and people in our industry. Also, if you can, jump over to my website, omarcumberbatch.com, where I give out a lot of freebies, including my 5-day sugar challenge for people who are having issues with sugar. And also for health coaches, I have the book, Hidden. It's the 6 not so obvious ways to get your clients unstuck. Have a great day.